Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Workout Grind. It's currently 6:48 p.m. a.m. I woke up at like 6:05 something. Came back 6:20. I'll try to be better with my time. It's currently Friday. My cousin, who used to live here, went to Adelaide already, so it's just the three of us here with the two kids. I have this thing on. It's a it's a free energy drink, apparently. So I'm just gonna use this before I go back to my energy drinks. And yeah, that's great. It's day 66 now, by the way. Forgot to change. And now it's we're doing this. Yeah.
Here's how I broke a 5-year addiction to distractions in just 7 days. For 5 years, I wasn't living. I was escaping, scrolling, binge-watching, overthinking, every uncomfortable moment gone with a swipe. I kept telling myself I'd stop tomorrow, but tomorrow never came. Until I did something radical. I gave myself 7 days. No dopamine hacks, no fake motivation, just one goal: reclaim control. Day 1, deleted every app I ran to when I was bored. No dopamine diet, a dopamine fast. Even music was off the table. Silence became my medicine. Day 2, sat alone. 10 minutes. No phone, no stimulation. It was brutal, but that pain? It was my attention span waking up. Day 3, I journaled. Not fancy quotes, just raw thoughts. For the first time, I heard my own mind. It wasn't pretty, but it was real. Day 4, watched the sunrise, felt time slow down, and I realized I'd forgotten what it meant to just exist. Day 5, read a book. No skimming, no rushing. Every page felt like a protest against the world's noise. Day 6, did one hard thing: a cold shower. Not for discipline, for control. Control over that voice that says skip it. Day 7, I checked my screen time. From 6 hours to 22 minutes, not because I forced it, but because I didn't need it anymore. And just like that, a 5-year habit was gone. Not because I changed my apps, because
Welcome to the Huberman Lab podcast, where we discuss science and science-based tools for everyday life. I'm Andrew Huberman, and I'm a professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford School of Medicine. My guest today is David Goggins. David Goggins is a retired Navy SEAL who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's also a highly accomplished ultramarathon runner. For those of you that don't know, ultramarathons are distances longer than 26 miles, and in David's case, often longer than 200 miles. For his achievements in athletics, he has been inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame. He also held a Guinness World Record for the most pull-ups completed in 24 hours. I should mention that not only was David a decorated Navy SEAL, but he also graduated from Army Ranger School. David is also a highly successful writer, having authored 2 books, the first entitled Can't Hurt Me, and the second entitled Never Finished, both of which are bestsellers. David's books cover many topics, including his autobiographical description of what can only be described as an incredibly challenging child and young adulthood. His home was abusive, his school environment was abusive, he essentially had no positive resources directed his way. And in his 20s, he found himself to be obese, that is more than 300 pounds, working a job he despised for minimal pay. And it was at that point that David began an inner dialogue that forced him to explore the demons born out of his childhood, but also the position that he found himself in as a young man. And then began the journey to navigate that dialogue and transform himself into the Navy SEAL, the ultramarathon runner, the best-selling author, and the extraordinarily positive and influential man that he is today. As some of you may know, David has done various public lectures. He's a familiar face online because there are so many clips of him on YouTube, and he has done podcasts before. However, I'm certain that you'll find today's discussion to be very different than previous podcasts that David has been featured on. The reason is that, of course, we get into his accomplishments. We talk about the mindset that allowed him to achieve those things. But today, David really lets us under the hood. He lets us into the form of inner dialogue that he has to embrace, indeed that he has to grapple with on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times throughout the day and night, in order to impose the sort of self-discipline that he is so well known for. We also get into some of the scientific mechanisms underlying willpower, and we talk about David's current endeavors that include, for instance, his own exploration of science and medicine, for which he has become an intense scholar and practitioner. I should mention that multiple times throughout today's discussion, you will hear curse words. Now, David and I both acknowledge that cursing isn't for everybody, and that cursing itself is different than cursing at somebody. Nonetheless,
that is
we
true.
realize that many people, parents perhaps especially, might not want to hear cursing. If you don't want to hear cursing, well then this podcast episode is probably not for you. However, if you are comfortable with cursing or if you can tolerate it, I assure you today's discussion is highly worthwhile. Before we begin, I'd like to emphasize that this podcast is separate from my teaching and research roles at Stanford. It is, however, part of my desire and effort to bring zero cost to consumer information about science and science-related tools to the general public. In keeping with that theme, I'd like to thank the sponsors of today's podcast. Our first sponsor is Maui Nui Venison. Maui Nui venison is the most nutrient-dense and delicious red meat available. I've spoken before on this podcast, and there's general consensus that most people should strive to consume approximately 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now, when one strives to do that, it's important to maximize the quality of that protein intake to the calorie ratio, because you don't want to consume an excess of calories when trying to get that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Maui Nui venison has an extremely high quality protein to calorie ratio, so it makes getting that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight extremely easy. It's also delicious. Personally, I like the ground venison. I also like the venison steaks. And then for convenience, when I'm on the road, I like the jerky. The jerky is a very high protein to calorie ratio, so it has as much as 10 grams of protein per jerky stick, and it has something like only 55 calories. So again, making it very easy to get enough protein without consuming excess calories. If you would like to try Maui Nui venison, you can go to mauinuivenison.com/Huberman to get 20% off your first order. Again, that's mauinuivenison.com/Huberman to get 20% off. Today's episode is also brought to us by AeroPress. AeroPress is similar to a French press for making coffee, but is in fact a much better way to make coffee. I first learned about AeroPress well over 10 years ago, and I've been using one ever since. AeroPress was developed by Alan Adler, believe it or not, famous in our community for developing these different feats of engineering that turned into commercial products. Now, I love coffee. It's extremely common in countries around the world, and sleep tracking capacity. I've spoken many times before on this podcast about the fact that sleep is the foundation of mental health. David Goggins, welcome.
My man, good to see you again, man.
Great to see you. It was late 2016, early 2017, I
sorry.
believe, when you were in my lab at Stanford.
Yes, sir.
We did a little work later that day
Yep.
down in San Jose, and gosh, see you everywhere, but it's not enough. So great to have you here.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
You embody discipline and doing hard things.
Right.
I think we should just start right off with
Yep.
the
Let's
bold,
just go there.
the bold truth. But right before we went hot mics,
Right.
we were talking about learning.
Right.
Right now, you're spending some time learning and doing things that I think most people probably don't typically associate David Goggins with.
Right.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, most people just look at me as the guy that runs and yells as he's running. And that's while I do that, to motivate people, but people don't understand that my day is broken up into segments. I work out, I eat, I sleep, but I spend most of my time studying. So like I'm in the medical world, I'm a paramedic in Canada, but I spend a lot of my time trying to nuke every single thing about it because I'm not trying to just be a paramedic, learn about veins and arteries and how the heart pumps and stuff like that. I'm trying to learn to the point where I can save someone's life. And even though paramedics are doing that all over the world, I'm trying to be that paramedic that can really dissect exactly what's going on and figure out, what medication goes where. Just trying to learn, the algorithm of what's going on, man. So I spend a lot of time with it.
I love the word algorithm because when I teach biology or try and learn anything that's related to biology and especially the human body,
Right.
I need to know the nouns.
Yep.
But it's the verbs that matter, and that's really what you're talking about. Like just saying that sits there, that brain part there doesn't
Right.
tell you how it all works together.
No.
So, what does your process for studying look like? Like, if we dropped a camera in the room, but a
Right.
microphone into your inner dialogue.
Right.
Gosh, wouldn't we all love that? But if we dropped a microphone into your inner dialogue, are you waking up looking at the books and going, "Yeah, fresh day,
Right.
let's learn," or is some of the same resistance that you've talked about coming up around physical
Yep.
work, is that coming up from time to time?
You know what? I was nervous at first. I'm gonna keep I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep
Please.
it real. So I'm not a real smart guy. And what I mean by that is I was born with ADD, ADHD. Like my brain cannot retain information. I'm not some genetic freak when it comes to running, when it comes to lifting weights. I am absolutely the bottom of the barrel. And people will never believe me. And they can just, whatever, believe what you want to believe. So when you ask me this question about what does studying look like for me, I have to go over the same page over and over and over and over again. While Jennifer can look at that page while she's, quizzing me, she'll learn it right then as she doesn't know anything about it. She will quiz herself or quiz me and learn it as she's quizzing me. It's the most frustrating thing in the world how my brain works. So what I do is I literally sit there with a pen and paper and I have my books and I go through and have to write everything down every single day. I will study the same page until it's photographic memory from writing the same thing down. And then from there, I'll go back through and relearn again. So I'll learn the bulk of it. But then I'll go through and learn the small things within that. So if it's a medication, I'll learn what the medication does. I'll learn how to even say the medication. Because these medications aren't like, like albuterol. No, it's very big words. So I'll go through, learn how to say the name. Then I'll go through, learn what the dose is. Then I'll go through, and this is like every single day. So not like, oh, I got it. Let's just go through. No, nothing is I got it. Every single thing, So I can't wait to get in this conversation because everything I do in life, it sucks. Everything I do in life, it sucks. That's why when I was 300 pounds and 24 years old, it wasn't like I had some big epiphany of let's just go be a Navy SEAL and let's lose some weight. No, I knew my entire life was going to be a struggle, which is why I just ignored it. And I said, I'm not even trying to jump off into this shit and learn how to read, how to write, how to memorize, how to become something I am not. But through that process, something happened to me. And I realized this is why I feel sorry for no one. In this podcast, they're going to really not like me because people are going to think that I am maybe lying or maybe fibbing or exaggerating. No, I was the lowest form on earth, no talent, no ability to learn. And I literally know what it is to be rock bottom and to build that up. So that question about learning, it's a pain in my ass. And I don't have to do it. So think about it. I'm 49 years old and I'm a multi-millionaire. I don't have to do anything. So all I thought about when I was growing up is, man, I can't wait to one day get to the point where I no longer have to do this stuff. But what happens, as I got older, it became a way of living. So how I do every day is how I do every day. It's a discipline, it's a regimen, it was a choice I made. And the choice I made was, what are you willing to sacrifice and what are you willing to give up to find every bit of who you are as a human being? And I was willing to give up everything to do that. So studying is no joke.
I love that you're studying. I recall a few years ago, I heard some interview or podcast with you, and you just threw out like, I don't know what I'll do next. Maybe I'll be a scientist.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah. I was like, because I know you a bit,
Right.
and I see your work out there, but we'd met before, that if you decided that, you were going to do it.
Right.
And learning medicine, which is what you're doing,
Right.
learning human physiology is so detailed. And people out there have to understand, when you look at a textbook and you see the veins and the capillaries different colors, when the body's open, they're not different colors,
Right.
You know,
Right,
they're not.
right.
So I mean, some things have different color contrast, but it's not like it's all labeled when you pop it open.
Exactly.
And so the process of writing things down by hand is important for you. So you go back and read those notes. Do you think about that stuff on your runs too? Or are you segmenting your day? Like when you're done studying, are you heading out for a run and thinking about other things, or are you still rehearsing the material in your head?
So when I write it down and I'm actually looking down at this table right now because I'm back to writing. So I'm actually there right now as I'm speaking to you. I write it down in a way that I'm memorizing page 69. So I'm writing it down. So then writing it down and that page sync together in my brain. So I'm looking at the book in my brain right now. So like, that's just how it works for me. And I have to do it over and over again. So that page is stuck in my mind. So I'm literally flipping through pages as I'm taking these tests. And I'm taking these national tests to become a paramedic or become an advanced EMT or whatever. I'm literally, as I'm taking that test, I'm going through and I'm like, and I'm flipping pages in my head of where that page was. And how I do that is just from how I write it and how it's on the page. When I run, I can't recall any of it. I cannot bring any of that because I'm running. How my mind is wired now is that everything I do is what I do. Because the focus it takes for me to, like right now, I'm running. I'm not like a great runner. I'm not like injury free. So like my first 20 minutes of the run, I'm limping. I'm literally limping because I've had several knee surgeries and my body was twisted. And so now it's untwisting. So people looking, oh, it looks like he's limp, like limping when he runs. I am limping when I run. My body's jacked up. So I'm focusing on how to get the best out of a broken body.
Yo,
So
it's
everything
crazy.
I do is a total focus on what I'm doing at that
Wait,
point
hold
in
on.
my life. On how to get the best out of a broken body.
Yo,
So
it's
everything I do,
crazy.
like limping when you twisted, and so now it's untwisting. So people looking, oh, it looks like he's limp, like limping when he runs. I am limping when I run. My body's jacked up.
Yo!
I'm literally limping because I've had several knee surgeries, and my body was twisted, and so now it's untwisting.
This is the most dangerous.
Yo! No, stupid.
Several knee surgery. So like my first 20 minutes run, I'm limping. I'm literally limping because I've had several knee surgeries, and my body. I'm literally limping because I've had.
Yo! Ain't no way this is me. Ain't no way that's me, bro. Are you serious? That's me? Yo. Yo.
had
What the hell? Someone commented?
several.
Um, I'm not really vegan, but what the hell? Oh, someone commented? Yo, someone actually saw my stream. This is bad, man. Sorry, this is supposed to be like a personal stream or something. I didn't really expect someone I'm not really seeing my stream. Thanks for watching. Whoa, yo, first comment. That's crazy. Sorry, this is supposed to be like a personal stream or something. I didn't really expect someone I'm not really seeing my stream. No way. Yo, this is crazy. Um, yo, um, I'm not vegan, but I do see the appeal. Yeah, I don't know. Yo, I'm just really happy that like someone actually commented on my stream. That's crazy. Thank you. Yo, someone commented on my stream. Yo, no way. Okay, okay. I'll stop. I'll stop. I'll stop. Let's keep going. Yo, yo, no way. Thanks for watching. Okay. Whoa. Yo, first comment. That's crazy. Sorry, this is supposed to be like a personal stream or something. I didn't really expect someone. Yeah. Okay, okay. Stop, stop, stop. Let's let's keep going. Yo! Okay, 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 stop. I'm just super happy. Yay. Okay, okay, stop, 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 stop. Lock in. Um okay, okay, lock in, lock in.
So it seems like you've really trained away or somehow gotten away from the ADD that you mentioned. Because what you described is like a deep trench. It's like a V-shaped trench. I'm
Right.
imagining like there's a ball bearing, it's like, and it can only go forward in that trench.
Right.
Or back, and it goes forward. It's not like sliding around at the, like concave at the bottom,
Right.
like a tension. So it's like you've trained that up. Is there a similar feeling when you're in the full focus of running versus full focus of studying? Is it kind of feel like, oh yeah, that's the same groove, but different thing? Or is it just completely different world?
It's a completely different world. Like it's just both of them for me is suffering, but it's suffering a whole different way. Like when I was going through school, I'll never forget. I think I was in third grade, and back then, ADD, ADHD wasn't like, here's this medicine, here's this thing. They want to put you in a special school. So for me, I was so far behind in learning that their big thing was, let's just put him in a special school because he'll never learn. And through that process of like, I don't want to be in a special school. I don't want to be treated any differently.
Anyways, okay. Locking. Come on.
Away from
Keep going.
I'm limping. I'm literally limping because I've had several knee surgeries and my body was twisted. And so now it's untwisted.
did
So people look at me, oh,
shoulder
it looks like he's
press, I
limp,
think,
like limping when he runs. I am limping when I run. My body's jacked up, so I'm focusing on how to get the best out of a broken body. So everything I do is a total focus on what I'm doing at that point in my life.
So it seems like you've really trained away or somehow gotten away from the ADD that you mentioned. Because what you described is like a deep trench. It's like a V-shaped trench. I'm
Right.
imagining like there's a ball bearing and it's like, and it can only go forward in that trench.
Right.
Or back and it goes forward. It's not like sliding around at the, like concave at the bottom,
Right.
like a tension. So it's like you've trained that up. Is there a similar feeling when you're in the full focus of running versus full focus of studying? Is it kind of feel like, oh yeah, that's the same groove, but different thing? Or is it just completely different world?
It's a completely different world. Like it's just both of them for me is suffering, but suffering a whole different way. Like when I was going through school, I'll never forget. I think I was in 3rd grade, and
What?
back then, ADD,
Oh, okay.
ADHD wasn't like, here's this medicine or here's this thing. They want to put you in a special school. So for me, I was so far behind in learning that their big thing was, let's just put him in a special school because he'll never learn. And through that process of like, I don't want to be in a special school. I don't want to be treated any differently. It really, like, I never took medication. I've never taken medication for this. That's why right now you see me looking right in your eyes. What the hell is Huberman saying right now? And that's why I don't feel bad for people who have ADHD, who have learning disabilities. And some are impossible because you just can't. But a lot of them you can. But people don't want to go through the process of focus, of teaching yourself how to truly focus. This is where my message gets lost. It gets lost because I may say, MF or F, where, I may be, because that's the passion that comes out of me, because it takes everything for me to learn a sentence. So when I speak about David Goggins, I can't speak about David Goggins in a way that's just calm and cool. Because when I wake up, I know the journey that it takes for me to find my greatness. And it's hard. Nothing is easy. Nothing just like, oh, I wake up and I just do this or I do that. Or it just, I watch people every day go through life and it's so easy. For me to be where I'm at today, it takes every bit of me. So when I speak about it, and as I get going here, you'll start seeing me, the tempo will rise. The passion will come out because I'm back there. I'm doing what I do every day to become a human being. And so nothing is easy. Like running is running. It sucks, but you have a choice to make. Do you want to sit down and go back to that guy you once were? No. So this is what it takes. It takes that misunderstanding of people, and they'll never get it because they were never David Goggins. So that is what it takes for me to do what I do. It may take you something differently. So for me, everything has to be in the studying. Everything has to be into this. Everything has to be, and everywhere I am, it has to be there. Me, focused where I am. That's why you're my second podcast I've done since Rogan, since the book came out. I don't have time for that shit. Because if I want to be great, I'm not trying to maximize money or maximize people knowing me. I do these things because maybe someone out there will understand me and get it and say, I can grow from this guy. And others just won't.
Sounds like friction is something you're very familiar with. It's a word just as I feel like is like cast above us right now in boldface, highlighted, underlined letters. It's just
friction
like
is growth.
Friction.
Yes.
Like you're up in the morning and I imagine David Goggins going to the coffee maker, stretching out, good morning, sunshine. And you're telling me from eyelids open, there's friction.
Yes. And that is the thing that people don't fucking get. The biggest misunderstanding about David Goggins of all time. It's like, whether you believe in God or not, I do. He put this lab rat, which is me, on this planet and said, let me fucking see what a beat up, abused kid who can barely learn, who has a twisted body,
Not
messed up genetics, sickle cell, this and that. Let me give him everything that pretty much disqualifies you from the military. But back then, it wasn't as strict. And let's put him in this and see what comes out of it. So to do that, friction. You don't wake up in the morning time and go to the coffee maker. Matter of fact, sometimes you don't even sleep. What it requires is when I'm at 2 o'clock it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and my brain is thinking about a fucking drug, and I got to get up and look in my book to see if that drug is how I remember it. And this is every day of my fucking life. That's why when I train a fighter or I train someone, I'm like, you have no fucking idea how great you really are, because you are using such minimal of what you have. And if people can learn to focus, this is what's possible. While it may not be pretty, like people want to do a documentary on me. I go, no. I don't want you to do a documentary on me. Because I will have normal, everyday people picking me apart. Oh, his life is miserable. Who wants to live like that? It's crazy how it's almost like he's sick, he's psychotic. The most frustrating thing in the world for me is when normal
Yo, first comment, and I'm seeing the result. I'm so happy right now.
people judge a
I'm
man like
elated.
myself on what it really takes to extract greatness from nothing. It takes every bit of who you are if you choose that route. If you don't, Merry Christmas. Do what you got to do. But yeah, all these things for me, like I told you, man, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not coming here to talk about like, you know, perform without purpose. Because I go through when I write these books, I try to dumb down David Goggins. How can I give normal people, and I'm normal, but I found something that most don't want to find. How can I speak to people and give them something from this crazy psychotic brain that I've developed? How can I give them that? So I sit down with Jennifer for years and write down perform without purpose, callous your mind, armor your mind, the cookie jar, the accountability mirror, shit that people can fucking use in their lives. No. I'm glad it helps you, but the barbaric life that I live, that you have to live, the almost obsession that you must have to be great, you can't put that shit in a fucking book, bro. You can't put it in a book. You can't. You can't write about it.
It has to be experienced.
It has to be experienced. And you can't even, after you experience it, to write it in the book, it would seem like he needs to be locked up.
Too gory.
It's too gory. It doesn't make sense for a guy that every second of the day, he is trying to extract more from something. He's constantly thinking, he's constantly disciplined, never going off the path. Whatever is injured on him, he figures a way. It's a conqueror's mindset. And very few people, if any, can really understand what that is. Like, I'm almost 50, and I've been this way for almost 30 years. Like, what do you do for fun? You would never, like these questions, I don't get them. I don't understand them. So yeah.
I get asked that sometimes. What do you for fun? I start listing off all this stuff like podcasting, reading,
Right.
working out.
Right.
You know? But so some of that resonates. But I think what's so truly unusual about what you're describing, your process, is that, from go, it's hard.
Yep.
And I have to ask, was being 300 pounds, having I'm using the words you've described.
do it.
You've said it before.
Mhm.
You had a tendency at one point in your life early on, tell lies,
Yep.
try and get people's
Lie
approval,
my ass off.
crazy haircuts,
Mhm.
attention seeking, and yet all of that triggered something
Mm-hmm.
that now is extraordinary.
Right.
Do you think those hardships were necessary to flip the switch?
I don't know if they were necessary, but it was something that made me feel, I didn't feel good. It was easy. The brain that I was given as a child, it was easy to go home and think about how do I want to be a freak today? How do I want to show up to school today and be a freak? It didn't require me going home and opening a book up saying, it's going to take me all year to learn this fucking page. So instead of learning that page, I learned how to become a character. And maybe that character that I created, that 300-pound insecure guy that used to fake it till I make it type of guy, let me become your friend, let me lie to you until you like me type of guy. When you have any manhood, womanhood, a human being, a soul, a spirit, I must have just this much pride, because that's exactly what opened the door for me. Because every day you were a character, every day you were a clown, every day you opened that Spanish book or that science book or English book, and you looked at it, it looked like a foreign language. And you're saying, where do I start? Where do I start? And obviously it was necessary. The more I talk about it, it was necessary, because what happened is I became haunted by the mere fact that this is my existence. And you got to live with that. And I lived with it for a lot of years until I sat back and said, okay, all right, I know what this takes. And when you sit back, as fucked up as I was, and I had a laundry list, a table like this of what I have to do to become just a human being that can make ends meet, that can make $1,000 a month just to get there, was like, oh my God, dude, like I'm 16, 17, I can't read, I can't write, and oh my God, I'm so behind the power curve, and my brain is about being depressed, and my dad beat, my mom's not home, and kids are calling me nigger at school, and I'm like, oh my God, man, what the fuck do I do? And it wasn't like someone came around and said, hey, man, you can do this. This is all me. Some people know, where's this cold man come from? I'm not trying to be cold. It's the reality of my life. It's the reality of a lot of people's lives. And so, yeah, that had to happen for me to be haunted, to pull out, to extract the guy at the end of the day. That haunting is something that's still there today. Because no matter how much you improve, no matter how much you change who you are, it's not permanent. You don't just wake up and say, oh my God, man, you're David Goggins, you break records, you do this, you do that. People want to know, how are you able to just be so hard? Because I never turned the fucking thing off. Because once it turns off, I go right back to the David Goggins that is. And that's the guy that I'm constantly fighting every day. And it's a choice. And that choice makes you misunderstood. It makes you crazy. That's why I hate fucking social media. In 2013, people wanted me to write my book. I did it in 2018. Took 5 years. And the reason why I didn't do it, I sat at a table and Jennifer was there. This is before she started working for me. I started dating her, whatever. And all these people were there. And they're like, man, you got to go on social media. And I was like, fuck you, man. Like, I'm not, it's poison. It's poison because I knew what I did to get where I am. And I'm going to have these people, these normal, everyday people, fat, lazy, exactly who I was, judging me. Because I know it, because I was once them. All my hard work, all my dedication, I'm going to have some normal dude get his little brownie, his little ding-dong, ho-ho Twinkie, sit there with his coffee, picking me apart. Oh, he must be unhappy. He's just, do you know how hard it is to put these shoes on every damn morning? And I'm gonna have you pick me apart. So, yeah, there's so much that goes into this that I was like, fuck this. I never want anything to do with it. So, anyway.
I'm not a psychologist, but knowing your story from what you've written, what you've said on social media and elsewhere, podcasts, and here now especially, it's amazing to me. And frankly, it pulls at my heartstrings a little bit. I realize that's not what you're trying to do, but that in the course of your childhood and in your young adulthood, that no one ever got between you and the world.
No.
I forget where I heard it, that like if a kid has just one person that believes in them, you know, and I had my trials and tribulations, but I had great coaches, great mentors. I attached to them. I found them if they didn't necessarily find me. But I'm realizing that your situation was no one's ever said, hey, I'm going to stand here next to you or get in front of you, put a shield up. And so it's almost like you've got these different it's all you, but there's versions of yourself that like you knew social media, like I don't know that I have the wherewithal in 2013, 14, 15.
So I ran out of time. It's already time's up, 0 on the timer. I didn't even get halfway in my second set.
17. To get in front of myself
distracted.
while doing all this, because I've already got so much going on in here.
Putting a little appreciation in myself.
That is right, but I had to
seeing
the progress that anger.
I apparently had doing these workout grinds for a long time. I've always look at these grinds and I say, where's the progress, man? Where's the point in doing all of this? It just needs one confirmation, one affirmation to like flip everything, basically. I'm seeing changes just because of the fucking sun, because of the lighting. It showed me, like, look at these curves. See this little thing? You won't normally see that when you have like a light here. Seeing this, it was enough for me to like keep going, you know? There is change. It's not useless, the whole thing. And I'm happy. Gives me a little motivation to keep going. Anyways, I think that's it. I'm gonna go take a bath, do some meditation, finish my school assessments, and then I'll be on my way, working out, I don't know, programming grind or something. By the way, I haven't been doing programming grind because I've been dealing with a lot of confidential stuff, like API keys and stuff, and I'm pretty lax about how I hide my keys, my source codes, because I straight up show up my Visual Studio Code, you know, and you can definitely see my API keys. I'm never too careful, so I just stayed off of it, you know. And yeah, also another factor is I usually stay downstairs because I'm gonna help my sister and stuff with chores in the house, so I have to stay down there, and I don't really feel comfortable sharing my stream when people are around. They can hear me talking or whatever, so I just stay off of it. But maybe someday I could try and stream a little bit, aside from working on like big projects where I need API keys and stuff. I'm also practicing on some fundamental things in React, like use states, or literally just using Tailwind. Man, I cannot for the life of me figure out how to adjust with like I hate the idea of when you shrink down the resolution or the screen size of your monitor, it snaps into a different size. Like in medium, it's gonna be this width, height, and in small, it's gonna be this. So like, you can really see when you lower the size of the screen, it snaps to a different size, and I hate that. I know there was a way for me to dynamically change it, transition it to a smaller size when the screen resolution is going down, but I don't know how that would work in regards to the overall styling of everything. Will that ruin the styling as well? So I just need to figure that out. It's super crazy to me thinking I don't know how to do that, and I'm jumping to a lot of stuff like implementing AI into your framework, or putting transaction things, client authorization, hydration type shit, and I can't do basic stylings, you know? And maybe if I master my stylings, I could also jump to implementing basic API calls, because at the moment I have a lot of experience doing that, but I don't I didn't do it myself, you know. I was just copying other people's code pretending that I actually coded because I typed it, you know. But it's not. It's a different thing. I have to type it my own shit, so I can gain confidence into the material that I actually know about this stuff. So yeah, maybe that in those cases where I do those fundamental coding things, I'm not really handling sensitive information, so maybe I could stream that. But that's for another day, you know? I have 5 big goals in my mind that I need to accomplish in a single day for me to consider it a win. First is the workout. Second is my programming. Third is I meditated. Fourth is I finished a Duolingo course, like this little circle thing. And the fifth one that I'm still yet to implement is to work on like a YouTube video where I just sit down in my desk for maybe an hour trying to edit something, or creating a script, or putting pieces together to create a video. Because I mean, I've done a lot of streaming already, but I haven't really made a video, and I kind of want to do that. And that's for another video. I have a video idea where my content will be based on around like making brain rot level type of conveying information to a lot of big concepts like crypto, or how the music industry works, or how ridiculous mathematics actually is, you know? Like everything, every shape can be depicted as a vector. I mean, it's a pretty basic concept to if you're already introduced to mathematics, but for the people who aren't, knowing that there's a way to, visualize, to graph of something, any line, any shape, any drawing that you have into functions of mathematics, it's crazy. So I wanna share that to the world, so they can get a little bit of appreciation to those kinds of stuff. So yeah, that's my idea of my content, and yeah, I could share that. I'm gonna try, but it's gonna be difficult, and I just need a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of, a push. I always believe that nobody really truly um believes in me. Like they could say I support you. Yeah, okay. I'm there for you. I'll be there watching you every day. They could say that, but what I feel is different. Like I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe the way to explain it is to tell you a story of when I experienced it. There is this one time where I really feel like I excel at programming. I'm really proud of myself. Like, I could do all sorts of things that a lot of people, my classmates, tend to like overlook, or they don't really try to push themselves too hard. Me, I really like the concept of programming, so I did study a lot of it, even if it's not like in the scope of our curriculum. I'm just really interested with how the memory allocation works, or how you could like hack it, bypass it, how it works, something like that. So I was really confident at the time of my programming skills, and then I was feeling like off lately because I haven't been programming at the time. But one day, out of nowhere, my professor just messaged me, "Hey, do you want to be part of like uh, of a coding challenge? Like, you could be the representative of our class." I was super happy about that because I felt seen. I felt like I was recognized as somebody who could actually code to my professor. And I'm super happy. Like, oh my god, you could ask a lot of my classmates, and you actually specifically asked for me. It feels like you acknowledged me. You you see me, and I'm super happy about that. I was really locking in. Then I realized it was a group message. It wasn't really just me. That my professor. I mean, it's such a small thing. Like, yeah, okay, I guess it's a group thing, no biggie. But for me, how I interpreted it is like, oh, okay, never mind. You didn't look out for me. You looked out for everybody. My, uh, I mean, yeah. I guess that's good that you reached out to me personally. I feel selfish for thinking like you shouldn't offer other people that you should only offer to me. Like, that's stupid crazy, right? But for me, it feels I feel so little. You know, no one was really truly there to see me, to see to truly believe in me. It's a group thing. Anyways, whatever. Man, you know, I'm gonna I'm gonna believe in myself. I guess that's the only um constant. What the fuck? Why did it become a sad stream? It's supposed to be a really happy stream. We did a lot of things. I'm super happy today, regardless of that stupid sub story. Anyways, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna take a bath and yeah, do the rest.